we had a fundraiser for him once, and he ran through the money and everything. So one time, he came over to me in a press conference, and I was sitting next to Bob, and he asked me if I had some money. So I reached in my pocket, and I think I had like $30. So I gave him what I had. And Bob said, "What's going on there?" And I said, "Oh, he's struggling to get by, and he may get evicted from his place, and he can't afford gas in his car." And Bob says, "Why don't you do a fundraiser for him?" And I said, "Well, we did one, and everybody gave me money, and he's had so many bills, he's still out of it." Bob turns around and paid his rent for the next year. And gave him money, so he got his PR man, Lee Samuels, over, and he said, "Lee, go out and find out what Jack's rent costs." He paid the rent for the next year, and then he gave him money so that he had money to live. And he had nothing to gain by doing that, because at that point, Jack was, he was writing for sites, quote unquote, but they weren't publishing his stories, And Bob did that, so I've seen Bob do a number of amazing charitable acts like that. And, he's an aggressive guy in a lot of ways, but, he really has a heart and cares about people. And, we went about 3 weeks before the Pacquiao Mayweather fight, not talking. And everybody was coming, trying to get us to talk and everything. And I went to breakfast with Todd DeBuff, his stepson, and and all this. And then one day, and it's still a couple weeks before the fight, but it's close, I get a call from Bruce Trampler, who is the matchmaker for Top Rank, and he's a member of the Hall of Fame. And he said to me, "I was just in Aram's office, and Aram is really hurt that you and he aren't talking." And I said, "Well, then tell him to call me." And he goes, "He's a lot older than you, and he blah, blah, blah. And, he thinks you should be the one to, reach out." So I said, "Screw it." So I called him. And when I called him, there was no like debating whatever. It's like, "Hey, how you doing?" It was like everything was forgotten, nothing going on, and it was just, back to normal. And, Bob is a really good guy. And, I don't agree with everything he does. And he knows it, but I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. And it, just a couple months shy of 90 years old to do what he does.
Still going strong. Yeah, he's great. This is why I think Eddie Hearn wasn't like received in America the way he thought he would be. With the DAZN deal, he said he's coming to America to take over boxing, and I just don't think he was received like he thought he would be in America. What's your thoughts on Hearn?
Here's what happens there. There's two things, right? So number one, boxing in the United States isn't as big as it is in the UK. In the UK, obviously it's a very big sport, and and here it is not. I mean, we have a lot of other competition, and a lot, because of all the crazy stuff that's happened in boxing over the years. People have fallen off the bandwagon, right? They still kind of like it, but they're like sick of what they think is dirty decisions, and having to pay top money all the time to watch all these fights. And there's all these reasons, but it's all self-created problems, right? And so Eddie came into this, and I don't think he understood the depth of that problem. So that was it. I personally think Eddie is the best promoter out there right now. I think he does a great job. But I'll say this, right? And
does he promote himself more, or the fighters?
You know what? I'll say this. I was at. Let me tell this story. I was at the Devin Haney fight when he fought. Who was it in Las Vegas last time? Who was his last fight? The Venezuelan kid, the former lightweight champion, Jorge Linares. And Eddie, after that fight, sat there and talked about every single fighter. Everybody wanted to do one-on-ones with him. There was probably 20 people, and I saw 3 hours he sat there, 2 hours maybe, talking to all these reporters about AJ, about the different fights, and what he had planned for this guy and what he had planned for that guy, and just talked about boxing nonstop, and talked about making the fights with all the lightweights together. I think, he's great at that regard. Now, I'll say this. I criticized him before the Joshua fight. I was on Chris Mannix's podcast, and Chris works for DAZN, and so has a relationship with Eddie. And I criticized Eddie. They did zero promoting of the Joshua Usyk fight in the U.S. They did not make Usyk and Joshua available to us. You know, I never got Usyk. Joshua, we only got quotes that they sent to us. You know, they kept saying we're going to have Anthony available to the American media. Did not do it. You know, I think that I blame Eddie for that, right? At the end of the day, Eddie's got to say, hey, you know what? You got to talk to the people in the United States. The zone has a thing there. But, you know, everybody makes mistakes, you know.
He's not as bad as Don King, so that's okay. Did you ever deal with Don King?
Oh yeah, many. I talked to Don. His birthday was in August, and I called to wish him a happy birthday. And I talked to him. You know, he still promotes a little bit now, not as much. You know, but I've dealt with Don King many years, and
he's a lovable villain. Yeah. Yeah. So just the last little bit, just to talk about your journey into boxing. Yeah. So you started. I think you've been with Yahoo Sports for like 15 years.
So 14 years.
14 years. Yeah. And then you've been before this. You've been in the business for like 30 years. What did you do before this? Did you just like get into writing? You know.
Always been a sports journalist. Okay. I grew up in Pittsburgh, and from as long as I can remember, I wanted to be a sports journalist. That's all I ever wanted to do. And I was a boxing fan all my life. And I actually, you know, at the time I was just a little boy. My father was a boxing fan. He took me to what turned out to be, we didn't know it at the time, of course, Sugar Ray Robinson's last fight.
Wow.
He fought in Pittsburgh. So my dad took me to that fight. Of course, I don't remember anything about the fight. I think I was 6 years old, but you know, I was there, and so boxing was in my life my entire life. And so, as I mentioned before, you know, when I had this part-time job when I was in college, you know, I covered boxing at the paper just because I wanted to have something to write about that was mine. And I've just always done it. And I grew up in Pittsburgh, and I had my first couple jobs in Pittsburgh, and then I moved to Vermont, Burlington, Vermont, and I lived there for about 9 or 10 years. And I met my wife, and then my wife and I moved to Vegas. And so I've been at most of the really big fights. I won the Nat Fleischer Award in 2007. That was given for career excellence in boxing journalism. I won the Nevada Press Association Outstanding Journalist in 1999. I've been Sports Writer of the Year in the U.S. For my state 5 different times, and I was inducted in the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame in 2014. So I've had a good career, and I got a lot of great honors, but I still love it. Like today's fight day, and I'm really jazzed up about it. And
it's so exciting, isn't it? Like I didn't even have to do any research on you. Normally I interview the writers, and then I read their book, and then do a little bit of research. But you're the guru of boxing, yeah. So I'm so honored that you came on and had the chat with me. It's brilliant. So that's brilliant, man. Thank you very much. Yeah,
my friend.
I'll let you go. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and hope you enjoy the fight. Are you going to watch the fights? Are you going to be ringside or?
Yeah. So I'm going to leave about 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock my time to go down. So I'll be there.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much, Kevin. It's been a pleasure.
My friend. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Take care, man.
Be well.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.